Say's law of market says supply creates its own demand. Supply creates its own demand. So, according to Say, when goods are produced by firms in the economy, they pay reward to the factors of production. The households, after receiving rewards for the factors of production, spend the amount on the purchases of goods and services. So goods are produced by firms. Goods are produced by firms in the economy and they pay reward to the factors of production. When goods are produced by the firms in an economy, they acquire the factors of production from the houses, from the household. What are the factors of production? Land, labor, capital. When they acquire the land, labor, capital, and organization from the household, the firms have to pay the factor income or they pay reward. They pay reward to the factors of production. So the firms get the factors of production from the household and they produce the goods. When goods are produced by firms, how do the firms produce the goods? They get the factors of production from the household. When they get the factors of production from the household, the firms have to pay the reward to the households. The households, after receiving the rewards for the factors of production, now the households, they have received the reward for the factors of production. What do they do with that reward? They spend the amount on the purchases of goods and services. So whenever they get the reward, they immediately spend it and they acquire goods and services from the firm. This is what is explained here, Say's law and the circular flow. The firms supply goods and services. To whom do they supply the goods and services? They give it to the household. And the household now they have got the income. They've got the income from the firms. So the households, what do? They give back the money to the firms. Why do they give back the money? Because they demand goods and services from the firms. So did you understand the circular flow of income here? It is a two-sector economy where you have the firms as well as the household. When goods are produced by firms in the economy, they pay reward to the factors of production. The households, after receiving rewards for the factors of production, spend the amount on the purchase of goods and services. Therefore, each product produced in the economy creates demand which is equal to its value in the market. Now look at this picture here. Okay, there is a small boy Tom, and what is Tom doing here? He is preparing lemonade. What is he doing with the lemonade? Is he consuming it? No. He is producing the lemonade and he is selling it for 5 cents. So Tom is preparing lemonade. Why is he preparing lemonade? He wants to sell it and he is selling it for 5 cents. So each cup of lemonade costs 5 cents. So Tom makes and sells or supplies a lemonade. Okay. So why is Tom selling this lemonade? Why should he sell it? He needs money. Tom needs money. Why does he need money? He wants to buy certain things which are shown here. Maybe a headphone or some video games playing gadgets. He wants to buy that. A remote control or something. So Tom is selling lemonade in order to buy. He wants to buy certain items. Tom earns money from the sale of lemonade. So he sells the lemonade, he gets the money for that. Then Tom starts spending it. A headphone or a remote or some video gaming product. So Tom spends the money. So from this picture, you can understand that Tom has a demand. Tom has a demand. Since he has a demand, he is supplying something. So every person on earth or every person in an economy will keep supplying something because they have a demand. Are you able to understand, girls? See, for example, I am teaching. Why am I teaching? Because I get an income. I get the management or the government gives me an income. What do I do with the income? I spend the income. I have my monthly needs. I need to buy provision or I need to pay for the transport or fees for my children. I have a demand. So, since I have a demand, I keep supplying my service. Teaching is my service. So I give my service and I get income, and in turn, I spend the income because I have various demands. Therefore, each product produced in the economy creates demand equal to its value in the market. I can sit at home. If I sit at home, I will not get income, but I have a demand. I need to pay the fees for my children. I need to buy a car or I need to buy vegetables. I want to go to a hotel or a mall for shopping. I have enormous demands. I have lots of wants. To satisfy my wants, I need to create or I need to supply something. So every product brought to the market has its own demand. A person selling onion or a person selling chicken in the market. Why is he selling the chicken? Does he think, oh my God, if I don't open the shop today, all the people in the Chennai, all people living in Chennai will not have chicken. They will be starving for chicken. Only if I open the shop, they will get chicken. Is he doing for that? No. He has demand. His children would have asked for a mobile phone or his wife would have asked for a sari. He has got lots of demand behind him. So, to satisfy his demand, he is supplying the chicken. Likewise, a person who is selling Bata shoes or shirts, he has got some other demand. Maybe he wants to buy a house or he wants to visit Switzerland. He has demand. So, to satisfy his demand, he is supplying something. So, what does say? In an economy, there will always be a level of full employment because every person or every human being in an economy has some demand, and in order to fulfill his demand, he will be supplying, so he will be working all the time. Did you understand this? Okay. So, what are the assumptions of Say's law of market? What are the assumptions of Say's law of market? There are many assumptions here. No single buyer or seller of commodity or input can affect price. That is, a seller or a buyer. No single person can change the price in the market. Nobody has the right to change the price in the market. That means no single buyer or seller of a commodity or input can affect the price. And there is always a level of full employment. This I explained already because every human being in the society would like to give something, would like to supply something because all of them have a demand. So in the society, there will always be a level of full employment. Next, people are motivated by self interest, and self interest determines economic decision. The government or nobody needs to motivate someone. People themselves are motivated by self interest. Everybody has got some interest. I want to buy this, I want to buy that, I have a lot of demand. So everybody will be supplying something. So an outside motivational factor need not come here. Every person is motivated by self interest. There will be a perfect competition in labor and product market. There will be a perfect competition. There are two types of market structures we have already seen: perfect competition and imperfect competition. Here we see only perfect competition. There is no imperfect competition. There is perfect competition. You have two types of market here. One is labor market and the other one is called product market. So what is a labor market? In labor market, okay, labor is demanded by firms. The firms need people to work. So firms demand labor. And who supplies the labor? The household supplies the labor. I want to repeat this. Labor market. What is a labor market? Firms demand laborers. And where are the laborers? Laborers are in the household. So here in a labor market, labor is demanded by firms and the household supply the labor to the firms. This is only called as a labor market. What is a product market? In a product market, products are produced by the firms. Who produces the products? Firms produce the products. And what do they do with the products? They sell it. They sell it to whom? They sell it to the households. So the households or the consumers demand the products. So here you have two types of markets. Labor market is supplied by the household and products are supplied by the firms. So there will be a perfect competition in the labor and the product market. Next one, there is a wage price flexibility. The wages changes, hence the wages changes, the price also changes. Otherwise, vice versa also. Whenever there is a change in the price, whenever there is an increase in the price, there will be an increase in the wage also. So there is a wage price flexibility. Money acts only as a medium of exchange. Money has many functions: a standard of deferred payment, store of value. But here, money acts only as a medium of exchange. Money is used only to exchange goods. In case you want to buy something in the market, you need to give money and then you have to buy the product. Suppose if you want to buy mutton or vegetables, what do you give? You go give money and then you buy the mutton. For the transaction, you can use only money. You cannot say, I will give my economics book, give me 1 kg of mutton, or I will give you some flowers, or I will give you whatever I have in my house, you please give me mutton. No, you give only money and then you get the goods. So money acts likewise. Here, money acts only as a medium of exchange. So to buy anything, you need money. And money here has only one function. It does not perform the other functions like store of value, standard of deferred payment. It plays only one role, that is the medium of exchange. We will be seeing about the functions of money in the fifth chapter. Then it is a long run analysis. It is not for a short period, it is for a long run. There is no possibility for overproduction or unemployment. As already said, every person in a society will be producing something, will be supplying something because he has demand. So, in an economy, nobody will overproduce. Whatever I need, okay, according to my demand, I produce, I supply, and I get the income. So there will not be overproduction. Are you able to understand this term? Overproduction. Everybody will produce only the amount of income which they require. Whatever demand they have, accordingly only they will produce. They will not produce anything more, or nobody will be idle. Everybody has got some demand. So everybody will be supplying something. No person in the society will be, in an economy, will be unemployed. Then there is no government intervention because people are motivated by self-interest. Nobody needs to intervene here. So there is no government intervention. Lastly, interest rate flexibility leads to saving investment equality. So interest rates are also flexible. What do you mean by interest rate? Whenever I deposit some amount in the bank, I get a rate of interest. So the rate of interest will not be standard, always 5% or 6%. It keeps on changing. So whenever there is a change in the interest rate, that leads to savings and investment equality. What do you mean by saving? Some people go and save their money in the bank, and some people will come for investment. So what do? They get the savings from the bank and they invest it somewhere, and for the money which they get as loan from the bank, they have to give the rate of interest. So interest rate flexibility leads to saving, investment equality. So these are the assumptions of Say's law. Maybe in a 3 marks question, they will just ask you to write the assumptions of Say's law. In 5 marks question, they will ask you to write briefly about the Say's law. In that case, you have to write the assumptions, you have to explain the law, you have to give everything in detail, okay? But if it is a 2 marks or a 3 marks, they will just ask assumptions of Say's law. It's enough that you write only these points.